The Aegis Eternum, a sleek warship bristling with advanced technology, drifted in low orbit above a long-abandoned Earth. Its hull gleamed under the distant sunlight, a testament to the might of the Galactic Dominion. On the bridge, Captain Zyron stood with an air of detached superiority, his hands clasped behind his back as he surveyed the planet through the observation screen. "Primitive," he scoffed, his baritone voice resonating across the room. "A world left to rot, consumed by its own wilds. It's almost poetic, isn't it?" Behind him, Lieutenant Varric adjusted his silver uniform, a faint sheen of sweat betraying his unease. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" he asked, his tone careful but resolute. Zyron waved a dismissive hand. "By all means, enlighten me." "I think we underestimate this world at our peril," Varric said, his green eyes steady. "There are reports, though fragmented, that suggest the wilderness here is different, dangerous." "Reports," Zyron repeated with a derisive laugh. "Whispered myths from deserters and merchants too cowardly to verify the truth. This mission isn't about danger, Lieutenant. It's about reminding this crew and the Dominion why we lead." The assembled officers chuckled, their laughter a chorus of agreement. Zyron turned to pace the bridge, his boots echoing against the metallic floor. "We are the masters of the stars, gentlemen. Our weapons, our discipline, our superior intellect, these define us. And here we have a feral planet ripe for conquest, a perfect arena to hone our soldiers." Varric frowned but held his tongue. He knew better than to challenge the captain's bravado outright, though his gut churned with unspoken warnings. Hours later, the Aegis Eternum's hangar buzzed with activity. Squads of armored soldiers prepared their gear, their chatter tinged with amusement. "Can you believe this is what they call a challenge?" one soldier said, holding a plasma rifle with casual ease. "I've seen more dangerous gardens back home." Scout Dren, a wiry man with sharp eyes, smirked. "We'll be back on the ship before the week's out, sipping synthale and swapping stories about Earth's killer squirrels." At the edge of the bay, Medic Tavik inspected his medkit. Unlike his peers, he refrained from joining their banter. "Overconfidence breeds casualties," he muttered under his breath. Lieutenant Varric entered the hangar, his voice cutting through the chatter like a blade. "This isn't a vacation. Treat it like one, and you'll be the first to fall. Am I clear?" The soldiers stiffened, their jesting dying instantly. Varric's reputation for pragmatism commanded respect, even if his caution often clashed with the captain's boldness. Satisfied, Varric approached the command shuttle, where Zyron stood reviewing the deployment plan. "Sir," Varric began, his tone measured, "I'd like to suggest—" Zyron raised a hand to interrupt him. "Save your breath, Lieutenant. Your concerns are noted but unnecessary. We are here to dominate, not dither." Clenching his jaw, Varric gave a terse nod. "Understood." The shuttle pierced through Earth's thick atmosphere, descending into the sprawling wilderness below. The view transformed from serene skies to a chaotic sea of verdant green. Trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their canopies forming an almost impenetrable ceiling. "Behold," Zyron declared as he stepped off the shuttle, his boots crunching against dense foliage, "the untamed wilds of Earth. Let's see what they have to offer." The squad fanned out, their rifles at the ready, though their movements betrayed their confidence. To them, this was merely another training exercise. Only Varric hesitated, scanning the shifting shadows between the trees. "Something wrong, Lieutenant," Zyron called, his tone laced with mockery. Varric straightened. "No, sir." Just taking it all in, Zyron smirked. "Good. You will need that focus when the real challenges begin." The jungle stillness was unsettling. Birds did not call, nor did larger creatures rustle the underbrush. It was as if the forest were holding its breath. "Not much of a welcome party," Dren quipped, kicking at a vine that had curled around his boot. "Focus," Varric snapped. "The lack of activity is exactly what worries me." Zyron sighed audibly. "Paranoia doesn't suit you, Lieutenant." Perhaps the jungle is simply smart enough to know when it's outmatched. The captain's confidence faltered, however, when Private Vel called out, "Sir, over here." The group converged on Vel's position to find the grotesquely twisted remains of a massive reptilian creature. Deep gashes exposed sinew and bone, and its scales, once vibrant, were dulled by death. What in the Dominion's name did this? Tavik murmured, crouching beside the corpse. Dren scanned the area with his visor. No energy signatures. Whatever killed it wasn't using tech. An animal, then? Zyron asked, skepticism dripping from his voice. An animal with claws like plasma cutters, Tavik retorted, pointing to the precise, surgical lacerations. Varric knelt, his brow furrowed. This wasn't just a kill. It was a statement. Whatever did this wasn't hunting for food. The squad shifted uneasily, their earlier bravado now tinged with unease. Even Zyron's smirk faltered. The first attack came without warning. A blur of motion descended from above, striking with the force of a thunderbolt. Private Vel didn't have time to scream. The squad opened fire, plasma bolts tearing through the foliage, but the jungle swallowed their shots, dampening both sound and impact. "Hold formation!" Zyron barked, his voice sharp and commanding. He scanned the trees with narrowed eyes, his weapon raised. "Stay alert!" Tavik's voice trembled as he whispered. I caught a glimpse of it. Too many eyes. A heavy silence fell over the group as they marched onward, every shadow and rustle now a potential threat. The jungle wasn't empty, it wasn't passive, and it wasn't done with them. After what felt like hours, the squad reached the remnants of an ancient human outpost. Crumbling walls and rusted equipment lay overgrown with vines and moss, but scattered data modules still hummed faintly with power. "Cover me," Varric ordered as he pried one of the modules loose. The interface flickered as he began downloading its contents onto his wrist console. "What are you hoping to find?" Zyron asked, irritation evident in his tone. "Answers," Varric said without looking up. The module's data unfolded on his console, revealing fragmented logs detailing humanity's last desperate attempts to tame Earth's wilderness. Genetic experiments, nanotechnology, and bioengineering had created a self-sustaining ecosystem, but the experiment had gone too far. "The jungle isn't just alive," Varric said grimly. "It's intelligent. Every plant, every creature, is part of a collective mind." Zyron's expression hardened. "If it's intelligent, we can outsmart it." Before Varric could respond, a guttural growl echoed through the ruins. From the shadows emerged a hulking creature, its body a fusion of muscle, plant fibers, and metallic sheen. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and it moved with chilling precision. "Open fire," Zyron commanded. Plasma bolts lit up the ruins, striking the creature. It recoiled but did not fall, its wounds knitting together almost instantly. "It's regenerating," Tavik shouted. Acting swiftly, Varric spotted an exposed power conduit in the outpost structure. Grabbing a high-voltage cable, he yelled, "Cover me!" Dren and Tavik laid down suppressive fire as Varric yanked the cable free, sparks showering around him. "Now!" he shouted, slamming the live cable into the creature's side. Electricity arced through its body, and it convulsed violently before collapsing in a smoking heap. The squad stood in stunned silence, their breaths ragged. "Is it dead?" Dren asked hoarsely. "For now," Varric replied, tossing the cable aside. He turned to Zyron. "This jungle doesn't play by our rules. If we want to survive, we need to think like it does." As dawn broke, the jungle's beauty belied its deadly nature. The squad, reduced to 6 weary soldiers, gathered around Varric as he laid out their final plan. "We can't rely on brute force anymore," Varric said. "This jungle anticipates our moves. If we're going to make it out alive, we need to outthink it." Zyron nodded, his arrogance tempered by the night's events. Together, they set their traps and prepared for the final stand, knowing that survival was the only victory they could hope for.